Hey y'all, it's Crystal. Thanks for coming by today. I want to do a little video today talking about being scared, and I've made a little list of some books that have actually scared me. Be it just one little scene or something, or the whole book is just nightmare fuel. So, and I was thinking about this because I was thinking about like why do I read horror? I read a lot of horror, but it oftentimes doesn't scare me. And I've realized, of course, that isn't necessarily why I read horror. I think horror is more than just that scare factor. Of course, it's diving into the more darker areas of human nature and emotions, dealing with emotions, and exploring those types of things too, which I love in horror. I love those psychological bits of horror too, and it's a safe way to explore those kinds that darker side of humanity, right? So I think that's definitely one of the things that draws me into horror in general. But every now and then you do like a good scare, and so here's a list of some books that have actually scared me. Hairs on my arms have stood up. I've got that little, that feeling in your tummy when you're like, you're like you're like looking around yourself in the dark corners of your room, wondering if something is standing there looking at you. Yeah, these are some of these books that have really actually terrified me. It may just be like one scene of a book, or it could be, the whole book itself is just nightmare fuel, But so here are some books that have scared me. If you're looking for something that maybe you're looking to be scared, so maybe you want to give these a try. Now, of course, what scares me may not scare you, of course, so your mileage may vary. But anyway, let's just dig right into it. So I'm going to got a little list here, about a dozen or so. Let's jump right in. So first, I'm going to start up with The Patience of a Dead Man by Michael Clark. Okay. I love this book. It is so good. If you are looking for a haunted house book, look no further than Patience of a Dead Man. This is following a man who is divorced. He's bought this kind of old crumbling house. He's going to try to, make it up and resell it, that kind of thing. But there's something lurking, and she's full of flies, and she's nasty. And we learn a lot about the history of this place and who this lady is. Ooh, there is a scene when he has his daughters visiting for the weekend. First of all, ain't no way, but she is like looking in on them as they're sleeping. Woo, gave me chills. This book is just got several just really spooky, creepy scenes. It's a really good haunted house book. All right, so Patience of a Dead Man, really good. Now, I didn't love this book overall, but there is a particular scene in this book that, like I said, gave me that little dip in my stomach. I'm like, whoa, And that's Gone to See the Riverman by Kristopher Triana. When they go to the house and they're like in the basement, or was it a basement or cellar or underneath the house or something? If you know. Whoa, that was a terrifying scene. I visually just was like, visualizing this scene. And if it was like a movie, this would be the scene where I'd be like, I'd be watching it like that, because it was a really scary scene. Now, overall, the book, wasn't scary to me overall. I didn't really enjoy the book overall, but that particular scene I thought was a very effective, just scary scene, So anyway, yes. I think a lot of people know what that book is about, so I'm not going to go into it. But anyway, I could not find this book on my shelves because they're a hot mess. But Maynards House by Herman Raucher is another kind of haunted house type of book. And there are a couple scenes in here which are so spine-tingling to me. And so this follows a young man who has been sort of gifted this house, Maynard's House, by an old by a man named Maynard that he knew in Vietnam. There's what I'm trying to say. And so it's in like the wilds of Maine. It's in the middle of nowhere. And so he goes out there because he just got out of the war. He's kind of lost and just doesn't quite know where to go. So he heads out to the house. And this house has a history, and he just experiences some things. It is set. The setting of this one is great. It's not the cold Maine winter. There's snow. It's very atmospheric. And there's just a couple of scenes in here that, really just gave me the heebie-jeebies. Very good. Excuse me. Let's talk about, I do have a couple physical books here. Let's talk about The Good House by Tananarive. Again, this is another book that just, a couple scenes in here really really got under my skin. I love this book. It's a wonderful book, first of all. So we're following a woman, what was her name? Angela, and this is her family home, and it's the good house. It's known for being, a good house. There's a lot of good things that happen in this house. But one year, her son has died, and so it's, turns into a sort of grief horror type of story, and she resists going home until she has to go home again. One of my favorite tropes, and we just learn more about this house, and there are things going on. There's something going on, right? So basically, a couple scenes in the house are terrifying, and there's like this scene where she's, I think, walking through like tree or something. Is it her or is it the son? I can't remember now. Walking through like trees and like leaves. I don't know. Whew. Yeah, totally scary for me. And I love this book. I love Tananarive. I love the way she writes her characters. This is a long one, worth the investment though. I love this book so much. But yeah, it's a couple of scenes in here where I was scared. Alrighty, so we got that one. Oh, The Nightmare Room by Chris Sorensen. This is book 1 of the Messy Man trilogy. This was good, y'all. And I think I see a theme here. We'll talk about that at the end. But there's a couple, this actually, kind of in the Good House manner, a bit of a grief horror story. There's a married couple who they recently lost their son to, I believe, was cancer. And so they go home again because they're just looking for a fresh start. And they move into the man's father's old farmhouse. And, well, we figure out who the messy man is. Yeah. This house also has a past, which comes back, and we learn what's going on in this old farmhouse. And there are some scenes in here. Yeah, there's some really good spooky scenes in here that are so super scary. And it's a fantastic book. I really got to get on with this trilogy and finish it out because I gotta know. What's going on with the messy man. Yes. Let's talk about House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. Okay, this is a very strange book. It's a very big book. It's a journey. It's a journey that you take, really. But I read it a couple years ago, I think. I would really love to reread this book at some point. I don't know, because I feel like I need to read it in a different way. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so there's a couple different stories going on in House of Leaves, but the one that is scary to me is when they're in the actual house. So those, because it's a house that's bigger on the inside, that kind of thing. There are they go exploring into this sort of nothingness. There's darkness. It is creepy. It's super flippin' creepy. Those parts really got to me when they're like actually exploring the house itself, and not the guy reading about the house. The story within the story, and there's a story going on in that story. Yeah, the actual house parts when they're talking about the house. Those scenes were, oh my god, so descriptive. And again, there's just, because it's so dark, something about being in the dark, when you're just out in the dark and you can't see anything and you lose like your sense of direction because you just are in the dark. Sounds, oh god, yeah, very creepy imagery in those bits of the book. So yes, absolutely, House of Leaves, super scary in parts. Yeah. Now this is more of a short story, but it is nightmare fuel, and that's Bloodchild, the title story from this collection by Octavia Butler. Of course, Octavia Butler is more known as being a science fiction writer, and Bloodchild is a science fiction story, but it has some amazing horror elements, and talk about like some body horror bits, and just the sort of theme of the story to me is nightmare fuel. It is disturbing, and I loved I love that story. If you read nothing else by Octavia Butler, read Bloodchild, especially if you are a horror fan, because she really goes there in that story. I don't even want to say nothing else. You just gotta read it. You gotta experience it for yourself, because it is amazing. It's so good. Bloodchild by Octavia Butler, the title story. Oh, nightmares. Let's talk about Last Days by Adam Nevill. Okay, this is a kind of a cult story, and we're following this sort of filmmaking crew. It's like the camera guy and I think the sound guy, and they are investigating this old cult called Last Days, and it gets messy. It gets a little messy. They get intertwined in the happenings of Last Days, and it goes to some places. And there are a lot of creepy scenes in this book. A lot of creepy scenes, kind of haunted house vibes, but also then you get, as the story moves on, without trying to spoil anything, it gets dark, and yeah, it is so good. I really loved this book. It's a longer one. Some of Adam Neville's books are kind of long, so it's a bit of a slow build to get to it, but it's so good. I just loved this book. If you like cult stories about investigating cults and learning about cults, you may like this one. Give it a go. It's got some just really, really terrifying imagery in it, and yes, it's so good. Okay, let's talk about Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I forgot to pull that off my shelf also. The attic scene, if you know, you know, terrified me. It was a nightmare. Okay, so this book follows a group of 90s housewives living in the Charleston area. They have a book club where they read like true crime kind of stories, and this dude moves into the neighborhood and kind of like swarms his way into their friend group, but there's something off about this guy. They think he's a vampire, and the story goes from there. It's wonderful. I love this book. I love the thoughts. I love the discussions of feminism in here, and misogyny. There's even, I think, some good discussions on race in here, and class also, because these women are more upper class in the Charleston area. But the attic scene forever burned into my brain. That is like a nightmare for me. That is a nightmare for me, period. Okay. Let's talk about Scratches by Joshua Marsella. So this book, it's a short sort of novella, but it's really good. It's a classic kind of tale of family trauma. But so a woman and her son move into their old family home, essentially, because her father has just passed away. He was a real son of a bitch, and maybe he's still hanging around, basically. Yeah. So read Scratches, and you get the really nice sort of ghost vibes, haunted house type of vibes. And then go read Severed, which is a prequel to Scratches, but you want to read it second, okay? Read that one too. Also horrific. And really fleshes out the full story. So read Scratches and Severed, but read Scratches first, and then read Severed. Really excellent books. Scary stuff going on. Both excellent. Okay. Have I got everything? No, I got 2 books here. Okay. The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon. I talk about this book quite a bit. The sort of closet scene. Yeah, that, no. No, thank you. I will pass, thank you. But this one is a story told over a couple different timelines. It's all around this particular house. They're in Vermont, I think. Vermont. So it's wintry, again, very atmospheric with the time of year, being a bit isolated and being cold. All that kind of good stuff's going on here. Those kinds of vibes are very good in here. I love this book. This is a 5-star book for me. But anyway, there's also, a thing like behind the house, like the land itself. There's a thing called the Devil's Hand, which is like this kind of rock formation. There's something going on in here too. But I'm just gonna say it again. The closet scene. No, thank you. Okay, moving on. I think this is maybe the last one, but not least. Let me make sure I got everything on my list. Yes. Scratches. Yes. The Shining. Still the most terrifying book I have ever read. That has given me scares basically all the way through the book. this is scary shit to me. And most people know what The Shining is about, right? We've got a man and his wife and their little son who go to take care of a hotel over the winter months, and it follows Jack in his sort of slow descent into madness. But there are things lurking in this hotel, and oh my god, it's full of ghosts and creepy shit. And there's several scenes in here that are just several scenes in here where I am like looking around, making sure there's nothing like behind me. Like, yeah, totally scared me. Yes. I'm just gonna say the one that the most, and I still think about, is the playground scene. If you've read this, let me know if the playground scene has terrified you, because that is like literal nightmare fuel for me, and this book scares me. I've yet to reread it. I know I need to tackle it again maybe at some point and reread this one. I don't know, it's so scary to me. I don't know. This one, maybe the scariest book I've ever read still, which seems crazy, but it really is. It clicked, all my little scare buttons, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, The Shining, the top scariest book for me. So yeah, these are just, some books, again, that have actually really scared me while reading them. So I'd love to know what some of your scary books are down in the comments. I would really like to know, because I know, again, different things scare different people, And so one thing I think by this list is that ghost stories and haunted houses are definitely something that scares me, and that is definitely true. And it's what scares me most in scary movies too, like a haunted house movie. I'm going to be scared. I'm going to have nightmares. Yeah, those haunted house stories, ghost stories in general, things that have like things lurking in the dark corners, sights that are unseen, they're like just out of the corner of your eye. That kind of stuff is is very scary to me. So yeah, that's a big thing for me. So again, let me know what scares you, because we're in October and it is scary season. So thanks for watching, and I hope you're doing well and staying scary this October, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye guys.